各位贵宾、师长、同学们，大家早安！欢迎各位莅临第156场惠蓀讲座。我是蝴蝶兰一理大使江嘉欣，非常高兴能够担任今天的司仪。今天的讲座非常荣幸能邀请到美国佛罗里达大学苏南耀特聘教授莅临本校。演讲的主题为 Forensic Strategy of Subterranean Termites and Baiting Technology 地下白蚁的搜寻策略与餌剂防治技术。相信借由本次珍贵难得的机会，能让在座的各位收获满满。在今日的讲座开始之前，先向各位介绍今日与会的贵宾，也请各位给予热情的掌声表示欢迎。首先是主讲人苏南耀特聘教授，掌声欢迎。接着是陈全木副校长，接着是叶文斌昆虫系主任，接着是台湾大学昆虫系徐尔烈教授，台湾大学昆虫系黄荣南教授，嘉义大学夏仓奇副教授，侯丰南荣誉讲座教授，赵玉展讲座教授，李厚峰教授，以及我们所有昆虫系的师长们，请向大家挥挥手。也感谢农资院的师长们及校外人士拨空参加。谢谢今日苏教授应邀来本校进行演讲，机会难得，请教授于本次的演讲海报上面签名。谢谢教授，教授请留步。教授。本校特别准备一面象征最高荣誉的惠蓀琉璃讲座，要致赠给教授，请陈副校长上台颁发讲座。教授对昆虫学界贡献良多，借由今日的合影，象征学界与昆虫学界的进一步交流。谢谢副校长。苏教授请留步。苏教授请留步。昆虫系也另外准备了精美礼品，有请侯丰南荣誉讲座教授致赠。谢谢两位请回座，请大家给予热烈的掌声。请摄影师来到台前，为我们大家进行大合照。接下来借由各位的掌声，我们邀请陈副校长为讲座进行引言，让我们以热烈的掌声欢迎陈副校长，掌声欢迎。
OK， Professor Su， 我们昆虫系的叶主任我们的陆老师、侯老师还有李峰老师在座所有的师长，还有我们来自台大、嘉义大学的贵宾各位同学，大家早安。很开心这是这学期第一场的这个惠蓀讲座那也是我们中兴大学从90年开始办理这个惠蓀讲座的第156场所以这是一个持续很长一个时间代表中兴大学最高荣誉的一个这个演讲这个讲座那今天第一个场次我们很开心可以邀请得到来自佛罗里达大学的苏南耀特聘教授来给我们这一场特别的演讲所以在演讲之前就由我来跟各位介绍一下苏教授Professor Su, please allow me introduce you using Mandarin OK， 我用中文来介绍哈。那苏教授他其实是在1951年出生在我们南台湾屏东的一个这个小孩哈。那10多岁他就移居到日本去哈。在1975年、1977年分别拿到日本的京都大学工业纤维大学的一个养蚕学系的学士跟硕士学位啊。那之后呢，他就去了美国，到夏威夷大学去攻读他的博士。那到1982年取得昆虫学的博士的学位。那2年之后呢，他顺利的获聘到佛罗里达大学去担任他的一个教职。那从4年的助理教授、6年的副教授到21年的正教授。到2015年，他取得了特聘教授的一个荣誉的一个身份。那在整个佛罗里达大学教学将近40年。那这40年来呢，苏教授已经变成国际最重要的举足轻重的一个昆虫学者。那苏教授就是他这40多年来的一个研究，总共发表300多篇的学术论文。那17本的这个专书，学术的专书，然后还有10多项的一个发明专利，所以这些这个杰出的一个研究的成果，让他获得了很多在世界上很重要的学术的一个荣衔跟奖项，包括美国的昆虫学会的 Fellow， 还有美国发明家学会的一个终身的院士，以及美国这个科学促进会AAAS 很重要的一个学会的一个 Fellow 一个院士。那这代表苏教授在这个学术上是受到大家相当的一个肯定。那介绍苏教授，我觉得有2个很重要的事迹一定要跟各位做分享。那第一个就是苏教授，他除了有相当杰出的一个学术的研究表现之外，他在把这个学术的研究转化成一些这个有用的一个商品化的历程，他也投入相当多的时间。在1995年，这苏教授就把他的研究的成果，这个安全而且有效的一些白蚁防治的这些系统，这些策略呢，把它应用到这个商品化上面去。那推广到全世界很多的国家来进行这个白蚁的防治。那减少了很多蚁害的一些经济的一个损害。那甚至呢，连美国的白宫还有自由女神的重要知名建筑物也用到他的技术在进行这个白蚁的一个防治。所以苏教授拿到一个很特别的一个奖项，是美国的这个环境保护署，就是类似台湾的环保署颁给他一个很至高的荣誉，就是总统绿色化学挑战奖。那我想这代表是苏教授在整个昆虫界一个很重要的一个这个奖项。那这个苏教授的第2个我觉得值得跟大家分享的事迹，就是在 COVID-19 之前，2019年的10月，台湾的一个昆虫学会40年的一个这个学会的一个召开的过程中，苏教授很慷慨的这个捐赠了5万块的美金，合约大概是160万的这个新台币。那再加上他的高徒，我们在座的李富峰老师，他担任这个昆虫学会理事长，他也捐了30万。那这30万的来源应该是大家都知道，我们在学校的网页都有特别去介绍报道，就是他当年拿到科技部的吴大有奖，他把吴大有30万的奖励金全部都捐出来，那跟苏教授一起创立了一个这个苏然药台湾的昆虫学的这个学术奖。来奖励这些昆虫界的一个后进，让这个年轻的学者愿意投入在这个昆虫领域的一个这个研究的工作。所以由此可见，其实这个苏教授对台湾的这个乡土的一个热爱，以及对这个人才培育的用心，奖励这个后进这样的这个利他的精神，其实是很值得我们来给予这个赞许，跟好好的学习的典范。那我们今天就很开心有这个机会，由苏教授来分享他这个多年的研究，这个独门的绝技，这个地下白蚁的一个这个搜寻的策略，跟一些这个耳剂这个防治的一个技术。那我们是不是借由各位的这个双手，热烈掌声欢迎我们的苏教授 ，Professor Su please。
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I wish my Chinese, 国语, is better than what I have right now, because frankly, I only understood about half what you say. I'm sorry, I'm terrible. So because I was just introduced about myself, let me allow me to introduce the termite I've been studied. Okay? So the Formosan subterranean termite is a termite species I spend most of my life with. And this species probably was endemic to southern China and Taiwan. And Taiwan and southern China around that time was connected because of during the Ice Age. And so southern China and Taiwan is kind of together. And that's probably where they come from. Okay, yeah. And around 1600, it was found in Japan. And around 1880 or 1890, that end of the 1800s, it was found in Hawaii. Okay? And in 1960, it was found in Louisiana. In 1980, it's found in Florida. Now I'll talk about myself. I was born in Taiwan. I didn't look like that, by the way, anyway. And then I moved to Japan. And then I went to Hawaii to get my PhD. Then I went to Louisiana for my postdoc. And then I followed the termite to Florida until today. So you can see I was born and destined to study this termite pretty much. Okay? And it's from Formosa. So what else can I say, right? So with that, I think you can kind of understand my relationship with this termite and why I spent all my life doing this. Okay? In a way, I was very lucky because most of the entomologists, you get study one species or insect or a group of insects as a PhD. You have no luxury to continue to do that. When you find a job, you do something else. But for some reason, since 1978, I studied Formosan termite in Hawaii. I was able to continue to study this insect. So that's job security. Anyway, so let's get into what the termite is all about. Now, this is a picture I took in 祖师庙, that's the 三峡祖师庙, right? So you can see the termite form this tube going up there and eating those wood support structure there. So if you trace down this one in down here, what you see is a tube coming from the soil getting inside the building. That's because underneath the building, you have a real large colony. The distance between here and here is about 100 meters. You have probably about several million termites in this network. Okay? And then if this is sort of like, imaginary picture or cross-section, but if you look at the bird's-eye view from top down, actually there are people studied that. This is the study done by King and Spinks. And Ed King was a graduate student at the time. And as you know, a graduate student is supposed to do the hard work. Right? We used to call PhD slave. And Ed King, at the time, was a master's degree student. He spent 2 months of his summer, during the summertime, in a town called Lake Charles, which is still a town on the Louisiana side border in Texas, a swampy area. He found there is a log infested by Formosan termite. He painstakingly dig out the entire underground system by puffing a little dye inside the tunnel, used forceps to dig it out, and record it. It took 2 months for him to come up with a map like this. And from there, we know the extent of the underground tunnel system of the Formosan subterranean termite is about 140 meters. And then this is not it, because some of the very small tunnel, he gave up. He didn't dig it any further. This is only the major tunnel. The interesting thing is that an average house in the United States is about that size. That is the average house, which is pretty big compared with Taiwanese or Japanese standard. So you can see that a house is sitting on a large network of subterranean termites here. So if these termites get inside their house, you can imagine this is not uncommon. So what people used to do, and they're still doing today, is to inject pesticide underneath the foundation or trenching around the foundation and spray pesticide. The idea here is to create a chemical barrier and exclude those soil-borne termites from the structure. And this technique is being used since early 1900 and still being used today. Okay? What happened when they do that to this population here? Nothing happened to them. They survive. You can just imagine the network is so huge, they're not going to be affected those pesticide applications. And also, to do this, we are using 32.4 kilogram per hectare of pesticide radius. That's a lot of pesticide you're using. Now, I was very kind to say there's a chemical barrier like this, right? I was lying. It doesn't happen. Just imagine a house is already sitting on a piece of soil. You can drill, trench, spray whatever you want. You are not going to have a complete chemical barrier. Unless you lift the house up, spray pesticide, put it back. There is no complete barrier here. So what's going to happen if I don't have a complete barrier? Well, termites are still there. They come back. That's number one. Number two, today pesticide is not supposed to last a long time. They degrade. When they degrade, what happens? They come back. The other thing is, a colony survives underneath a house like that. Once a year, they swarm. They send the Aedes swarming out. Now, your house may be temporarily protected. Your next door neighbor is going to get it. So it's a community issue that we are not solving by using this kind of problem. So this is the situation I encountered when I started my PhD program in Hawaii. I look at this one here, and I say, there's got to be something better than this. Okay? Now, when I see a situation here, of course, as a biologist who is curious about biology, my first question is, how do termites construct these tunnels? And how do they use the tunnel to find the food? So those are basic questions I have to naturally pop in my mind. So one of the studies I know we have to do is the more basic research. How do termites find food in our own soil? By using this tunnel. That is my first question. However, I also know that I was in a land-grant university. Have you heard of that? Land-grant university? No. Okay, let me explain, okay? Land-grant university in the United States is based on Land-Grant Act by Congress. Land-Grant Act was approved in late 1800 to early 1900, where the Congress provided money to establish the university with the mission to help the farmer producing food. Okay? So just like a Taichung Nongxue Yuan, very similar structure. So we have a mission to help the agriculture, the farmers. And that is called land-grant university. Every state in the United States have one land-grant university. University of Florida is the land-grant university. University of California is the land-grant university. Now, if you go to Louisiana State University, that's the land-grant university. Texas A&M is the land-grant university. Okay? You can see that the major university in each state are all land-grant university, all started to help the farmers. That is our mission. So we still carry on that mission. So when we do something like this, not only I'm going to study the basic, but I also have to solve the problem. I have to find out how can I control the population underneath there. That is another direction of my research I have to go. And already, when I was a graduate student, I know these two subjects is really going to cost me my entire life to do these two things. So I'm going to share with you, since I was told we have 1.5 hours for my talk. Any water around here? I think I'm going to get thirsty very soon. anyway, so I'm going to talk about what I did throughout my career, basically. So let's go to the applied research first. Okay, when I first went to Hawaii, my major professor, Minoru Tamashiro, was just developed a technique doing the wooden stake survey and to establish sampling station type of technique. So nearby, we have infested house somewhere there, and then we put a wooden stake around it. Now, if you wait until the stake being infested by termite like this, then you replace it with a piece of wood, and in this case, we bury in the ground, and then that become a station for us to monitor termite population, because termite eating those stations are subset of the population underground. We have no idea where they are, but we know it had to be connected with this station. Okay? Now we can use this station to do many things. One thing, for example, we collect a large number of termite back. We stain them into different color. It's a blue termite. Somebody can send them into red, and then release them back to the station. And then we have a multiple station on the ground. By tracing where the blue termite appear, we know which one is connected with which. By doing so, we can see how far foraging territory is. So those are kind of things we used to do when I was back in Hawaii. So you can see this is the entire protocol, right? Put a wooden stake in the ground. If the termite here, they're going to come to eat wooden stake. And so that's kind of thing we're doing around the time. Then I thought, if I'm going to control the underground population, this one here is going to be my key. How can I do something to, say, to put some kind of toxin in there, and let the termite carry the toxin back and spread them around, and then wipe out the entire population? That is really my goal. I really do not want to just treat a symptom that termite is coming. I want to solve the problem. Okay? So that is basically the bait concept it's all about. So to do that, we identify, when I was a graduate student anyway, we identify certain characteristics this pesticide had to be. One is have to know feeding deterrence, because termite have to eat the bait. If it tastes bad, they're not going to eat. And it had to be slow, because you cannot kill them too quickly. You have to allow time for them to spread the pesticide inside the colony before they are killed. However, this is a trick. Feeding deterrence or not, it's really concentration dependent. In other words, if something tastes good, increase the concentration, sometimes tastes really bad. Something like if your perfume, nice perfume, smells good, you spray a bunch of perfume on your head, it's going to smell pretty bad. You're going to have a headache. Have you ever get into elevator with a lady spray perfume all over? Yeah. That's the kind of thing you're going to have, right? So this is a really concentration issue. Slow acting, you can also have something to do actually with the dose. Dose is amount of chemical ingested by insect. That's a dose. How much inside the insect? Now, we can adjust the concentration to make it not feeding deterrence of any chemical, but you have no control over what termite, how much termite is going to eat. Some termite eat a lot. If you have a chemical, it's such a dose dependent, the lethal time dose dependent, some termite eat a lot, they're going to get killed very quickly. So your slow acting criteria is negated if you have the chemical whose lethal time is dose dependent, then it doesn't work. So most of the chemicals are like that. You can use any pesticide, you can pick up some pesticide, right? And then certain dose, certain concentration, certain dose, they will kill them slowly. But if they allow to eat a lot, all of a sudden they become very fast. So that is a real tricky part of finding this kind of compound. So essentially what you need to do is that you need to find a compound, the lethal time have be dose independent. Regardless of how much they take it in, the time required to kill has to be set. That is a difficult part of finding this thing, okay? So I was searching for this type of compound after understanding this thing here, And eventually, I encountered with this group of pesticide called chitin synthase inhibitor, which is one of the insect growth regulator. And this compound, hexafluorine, was given to me by Dow Elanco. And they started with Dow Chemical, become Dow Elanco when they merged with the Eli Lilly and they moved the company to headquarters to Indianapolis. And then they become Dow AgroScience, now become Cultiva. So around the time they called Dow Elanco. So I was testing this compound. Eventually, I was able to find that this kind of thing happened. When termites can eat a lot and nothing happens for about 30 to 45 days, when they try to molt, bam, they get hit. They can't complete their molt. So if you take a cross-section, if you look at this one here, what happened here, it's a cuticle here made of chitin, and because the chitin synthesis is inhibited by this compound, when they try to shed the skin, they cannot complete the shedding, and they die with a situation like this, called jackknife pose, okay? So if you take a cross-section of there, this is just show you that how the normal termite body looks like. Normal termite body outside is a cuticle. This solid red line is a cuticle. Underneath there is the abdominal cell attached to muscle, and that's real normal. When the normal termite try to molt, the old cuticle is being shed. The new cuticle appear. There's a wrinkle one here, but still very nice solid line. And then eventually the abdominal cell is attached to muscle and the poo, and they become bigger body and straight out. That's a normal insect molting process. If you expose termite to chitin synthase inhibitor, when they try to molt, this is going to happen. The new old cuticle is here. New cuticle is in form, but you can see not very well defined. It's fuzzy. They are actually fragmented, not connected together. So if abdominal cell underneath is attached to it, when the muscle attached to it, when they try to pull the muscle, the cuticle break and start the internal bleeding, and they die because of internal bleeding. I know I go to hell, termite hell when I die, but anyway, it's really gruesome story. Anyway, so this is what happened when you expose a chitin synthase inhibitor. So this is how chitin synthase inhibitor work. So it's a no-feeling deterrency. I can make adjust concentrate to such that they will eat. It's a slow acting, and because the lethal time required to kill is dose independent, meaning that regardless of how much they eat, they are not going to be affected until they try to molt, which is 45 days later. Does not mean everybody go 45 days, boom, they molt. It doesn't happen because every single termite within the colony, the timing to molt is different. They are not synchronized. Depends on when they are born. So I may be molt 10 days from now, he may be molt 20 days from now. And he may be molt about 30 days from now or 45 days from now, and then everybody will die at a different spot, okay? That is really depends on your timing to molt, you're gonna die. That is basically what it is, okay? Now, so, and this is gonna happen. All right, so when we discovered this thing in the 1980s, I decided to go to the field to try on the field colony. The question is, how can I deliver this pesticide to the termite colony, right? Well, my major professor already developed this technique, put the wooden stake in the ground. So that's what I did. And then, so I waited for termite to infest in this wooden stake. When they happen, I put the stake out, and termite will stick their head out here looking for food because there's a hole here. Into there, I put a bait tube inside. And this is the initial bait tube looks like. It's basically just a centrifuge tube, plastic, with drill hole on the side, and stuff them with the sawdust, impregnate with hexafluorine, and then I put inside the soil in here, and termite will come out and eat those tube inside the bait. So this is one of the experiments we did in the high-rise building near Miami. And this high-rise building have one colony, large colony here like this. And we put a bait in here in April 1991. activity is slowly going down, becomes 0. And after that becomes 0. So we know we killed the colony. And we repeat this kind of study again and again and again at a different site, many places. Then finally I said, I got it. I have some technique that we can kill the colony. It's the first time we demonstrate this. So I was very excited. I told to my contact person, Dow Iranco guys, and they said, come over to Indianapolis, present the result for us. So I said, okay. So I went up there, and then I told them, this is what I did. Put a wooden stake in the ground, easy. And we're gonna do this by putting the tube inside there, and then termites eat the wood and those bait, and they get killed. I was very excited. I thought they're gonna be very happy, right? No. They look at my face and say, Dr. Su, we cannot sell wooden stake. I said, what? So, you see, as a researcher, we only think about how to make it work. The commercial people always think about how to make money. Okay? They can't make money by putting a wooden stake in the ground. So I said, oh, okay, now what, right? Cannot sell the wooden stake. So I was coming back from Indianapolis, and I thought thinking about this in the airplane. I said, what I'm going to do? Can I sell a wooden stake, right? So I thought, actually, something we can do. Because when you put the wooden stake out of the soil, sometimes the soil collapses. The hole no longer exists. Because I cannot put the tube in anymore. So to do that, oh, thank you. And so I thought maybe I can create a sleeve to hold the integrity of the soil hole in the soil. So I can take the wood out and put the bait tube inside. And that become a commercial product of Centricon system. That's how simple it is. Okay? I cannot sell this one here, but I can sell this. It's the same thing, but you know what? It's a lot easier to operate. That's about it. And the patent we have is very simple. Very simple. Double cartridge. We have a cartridge here, put in the soil, another cartridge with the bait. Double cartridge system. That is the essence of the entire patent. Nobody can copy that. Okay? Anyway. So that, and what happened is, so same thing. You put this bait station here, put the wood inside there, wait for the termite to eat the wood. When that happens, take the wood out, put the tube in. And that's it. And you can do termite eat them, and then you will kill the colony. So if you think about this, right? Essentially what I did here is that I transformed the baiting, monitoring, sampling technique of my professor developed. I transformed them into baiting technology. That's all I did. You see, we always try to think about we are the one originate with a unique idea. We don't. We always borrow something from people before us. We are copying them, we modify them, we make it something into our own. So you're a student here, you're sitting there, listen to me, modify mine and do something else. You see, the copying is a really important thing in the science and technology, and also in art too. When I was in Madrid in Spain one time, we went to the museum, there's a master painter, wall painting on the wall. In front of that, usually there's a couple art students copying it. They try to copy the master's work, and from there they try to learn. What can they learn from that? Okay, the copying is very important. Another example I can give you in the art is this. I was in Florence, in Italy one time. We went to visit the museum where the gigantic statue of David by Michelangelo was on display. And anybody been there? You go to the basement of the museum, right? There are tons of relics from ancient Roman sculptures all over. If you look at them carefully, very carefully, some sculpture produced by Michelangelo is actually a copy of the Roman sculpture. And the Roman sculpture was a copy from Greek. It's just really similar one exists. And Greek, I'm sure the copy from Mesopotamia. Okay? Art and science and technology is always copying somebody before you and make your own out of it. So that's what I did. I'm not going to give you my full credit, this is my invention. No. I just modify a little bit. So give you an example. This technique here, my major professor designed this one here. Not really. Before him, there's another guy called Hang, the USDA person in Hawaii. He's the one put the wooden stake in the ground, monitoring termite. So Minoru, my major professor, copied from him. They designed this station. Did Hang invented that idea? Not. Because there's a group of Belgium from Belgium in Africa studying termite. They are the one put the wooden stake in the ground. So you can see everything is copying each other and make something out of it. Okay? So that's a very important thing I want you to understand. Invention is really not unique idea. Even some scientific idea is not exactly 100% unique to that person. One of the most important biological theory in modern era is cell symbiosis, right? Our cell used to have a different organism that live together and form our cell. Mitochondria, Golgi body used to be all different organisms at the beginning. Who is the one started that theory? Have any idea? Everybody created that one to Lynn Margulis, 1965. But Lynn Margulis, that paper, actually copied from a Russian researcher in 1890s. He read the paper, somebody said that. So she went on to correct the evidence and published the paper, and that became the most important theory in modern biology. We all learn from somebody, okay? Just to be aware of that. So when you pick something here, don't be shy. Steal it, make your own. That's how the science works. And technology is like that too. Art is like that too. All right, so anyway, so what happened here is this. You put a bait station in there, they eat the bait and get killed. Now after I published a study, 1994, I published the paper in 1994. Many people repeat my study, and I track it down how many studies being done for 10 years period of time. Basically, between 1994 and 2003, there are a total of 39 studies documented elimination of at least 186 or 193 baited colony, or population including 15 species in 15 states of the United States, Australia, Japan, France, UK, Italy, Cayman Islands, Malaysia, and Taiwan. So with that, we know this technology works. I don't want to watch anymore, so I kind of stopped tracking them. So, but still, the old technique still exists in the market. So let me compare how termite control we have it today. There are two ways to do it. One is to use soil termiticide. Here you exclude termite from the soil. Most of the termite populations still survive. And then you use about 32.4 kilogram pesticide per hectare. Now, toxicity of pesticide there, like fipronil, is about 97 milligram per kilogram. That's the toxicity, oral LD50. If you use bait, okay, you kill the population. You use 0.065 kilogram per hectare. That is about 500 times less pesticide. And the toxicity of the compound there is more than 3,000. So if you, about 33 times less toxic, if you want to talk about environmental impact, multiply these two figures together, that's about 16,000 times differences. Use bait, you have a 16 times less environmental impact. Because of this very low environmental impact, not only that, you actually get rid of all the source of infestation. And because of that, many historical buildings and important buildings are using Centricon today. So the first thing I went to test, to their request to test if the bait system worked or not, is Statue of Liberty. You know this, right? Actually, you think, well, why Statue of Liberty have a termite, right? They're made of the copper. But she's standing on this pedestal, which is built on top of this foundation. And this old building here is an old fortress called Fort Wood. Was built during the Independent War when U.S. tried to declare independence from British. So British, English Navy was attacking the United States, and they tried to protect New York City from the English Navy, and that's how they built this fortress. Although the fortress never seen any action, no battle occurred there. So the fortress was standing there until they tried to build the Statue of Liberty. They decided to build on top of it. So anyway, and this island is called Liberty Island. This is Hudson River. By the way, do you know Statue of Liberty supposed in New York, right? Look at the map carefully. It belongs to New Jersey. It's the other side of the line. Anyway, so we went there and we looked around. Quite a few termites there. There's a display case in the museum area, boiler room. To make a story short, if you get entrance here, usually go upstairs, the second floor here, you have a museum here. Before you take the elevator, go to top. And here is a termite everywhere. Boiler room in the basement have a termite. Sally Port is where because it's all fortress, Sally Port is where the small gate, if you want to send a soldier out to attack people surrounding you, that's where they send it out, called Sally Port. Okay, and there's an exit here. So they have a 4 isolated infestation there. And around that time, we find out is that most of the infestation I saw was above ground, not much inside the ground. So I have to design something else here. I designed this called above ground station. Oh, oops, sorry. Some of them actually, the plastic box, I put the bait inside there and stuck on termite tube, and they'll come out and eat the bait. In this case, I really cannot put the box inside there, so I stuff the bait inside the plastic Ziploc bag. I cut the hole, I tape on it. And that way they'll eat the bait. Okay, so after about 9 months of baiting, the entire population crashed. And so Statue of Liberty is saved. You see, Statue of Liberty was donated by friends and saved by Taiwanese boy. Anyway, so yeah. So when we finish this project here, across the other side of the water here, is this facility on the island called Ellis Island. And this is the old facility where the immigrants are processed. All the European immigration will come through here. They've been checked, given the paper, and set free. They did not have any termite infestation, but just in case, so we put the central station around the entire building. And sure enough, we detect termite. And we buried them, so this building never sustained anything, but that also have a central station there. So another site I did is San Cristobal, which is the largest fortification in the entire New World, built by the Spanish Empire. During the time when Spain was stealing a bunch of gold and silver from South America, they would ship all the silver and gold to Puerto Rico, and they waited there first. So Puerto Rico used to have a lot of silver and gold waiting there, and everybody wanted to steal it. Okay, so there are pirate activity there. Because of that, they have to build this gigantic fortress to protect all the silver and gold. And so this is quite a large fortification, very solid piece. You can see there's a big fortress here. And then the wall actually surrounded the entire city of San Juan. This is all San Juan city, and they're all kind of surrounded by that. To withstand the bombardment from the Navy, from the ship, the roof of this fortress are made of dirt, very thick dirt. So when the when the shell hit it, it doesn't break, it just disperses it. And termites get into those soil. So underneath there, you can see the termite tube coming out. So we put a centrifugal station on the rooftop, and we kill the colony. Anyway, another fortress I did is Fort Christiansfeld. This is a very a small fortress built by Danish Empire. And St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Island, actually changed hands about 7 times during the medieval era. At one point, it belonged to Denmark. The Danish people is the one who built this fortress. And then you have a tube going through like this. It has an extensive infestation. Those yellow spots here are all termite infestation in that building. So it took a while. It took about 2 years to slowly, patiently put the bait in, put the bait in, put the bait in. Eventually, we get rid of all the termite from the fortress. And as far as I know, they still have no termite. If they do, I will hear about it. So this is another building we did. This is French Quarter, New Orleans. And this is Jackson Square, St. Louis Cathedral. On the left-hand side is a building called Cabildo. I'm not sure if you know Louisiana Purchase? Louisiana Purchase is a Napoleon III from France owned large swaths of the territory in North America at that time. And he sold that one to America for a very small amount of money, large amount of money, but not worth it, because from Louisiana Purchase, America acquired South Dakota, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, New Mexico. Anyway, about 1/3 of the territory as of today are acquired through the Louisiana Purchase. And that treaty was signed in this building. So it's a very historical building. And then Formosan termite love, they have expensive taste. So they love to those wooden floor, antique wooden floor. So I put a bunch of bait inside there. And it was relatively easy. We killed them within 6 months. So this building here so far is termite free now. So now we did a lot of this type of thing. And I know some of the stations were installed in historical building commercially, so I'm not aware of it. For example, including this one here. These pictures, see this picture before? January 6th, okay? A group of Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol, tried to overturn the election. And I don't know why they tried to climb the wall. Because you walk about 10 feet over there, there's a stairway, you can go up there. Here also another stairway too. But I think they probably think it's more dramatic, you know, they want to be a superhero like a Spider-Man or something. They try to climb the wall, right? So somebody took the picture, put it on the internet, and somebody gave it to me and sent it to me and said, "Did you see that?" I said, "See what?" Look at the ground here. Central Station. So obviously, Central Station was installed to protect the Capitol building, but we could not protect Capitol building from this idiot. It's not an idiot proof, okay, by the way. So anyway, so those are type of things that you know, is being used, and I know there are many more important buildings are using Central Station, base station to protect from termite. So let me just go back to refresh your memory a little bit. How the bait works, right? It's novafluomiron is one of the new chitin synthase inhibitor now. That's what in the Centricon being used. It's a non-repellent, slow-acting, and lethal time is dose independent. Regardless of dose, ingested termite not affected until they molt once every 45 days, and this is supposed to look like. Except when everything is going well, the one thing will bother me, because no matter what, how often I go to the field, I look at the field site, and I look at the monitoring station, and I look at the base station. In the field, I never see this. Why? If they interfere with the molting system, I should see them in the base station, right? No, I never seen them. That's kind of bugged me. I really question about it's what's going on underneath it. I have no idea. Maybe when the termite try to molt, there's a special room, say molting room. They knock, hey, I'm gonna molt, and go inside there and molt. That's what it is. I have no idea. So at that time, I have a student from India, Garima Kakar, and I was talking to her one day, and I said, Garima, that's your PhD project. It's not an easy thing to do, because study termite, how often they molt is difficult, because the way to study molting frequency for other insects is easy because you count exovia. So you put a caterpillar there, rear them, and one day come in the morning, there's a skin there, shit, somebody molted, right? Well, termite don't do that. When they try to molt, the other individual is already helping the to molt, and they eat their skin. The skin is immediately consumed, so you don't see them at all. So how the hell are we going to find out where they molt, right? So number one, we have to find out which one has just molted. So what Garima did is quite ingenious. What she did is that we find out that before termite molt, they get into this type of thing called mottled head. This is normal termite, kind of smooth head, but the head become wrinklish because all skin already started kind of separate. So she will correct this individual, put in a petri dish, and watch. She watch almost every 1 hour. Okay, when they molt, she take them apart, cut a head off, take a picture. Immediate molt, termite looks like this. 4 hours later, they looks like 8 hours, 10, 16 hours, 20 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours, and this is become normal termite workers. So by judging the scleration, this brown thing here start appearing more and more thicker. If this is a brown here, you can tell they have just molted within 24 hours. So what you're looking for is a termite with a whitish head. And if you find those things here like that, you know they're just molted within 24 hours anyway, okay? So now we have to design an experiment to find out where to molt, right? Actually, Garima is smarter than me because she didn't do that. Happened to be, I was running an experiment for something else. I constructed this real large laboratory arena. This is the 4-year-old colony of a termite king and queen, everything here like this. Then I connect into another foraging arena here and put the tube in so termite will move around this tube and get into this small arena like this. And then another 5-meter tube there, and I keep going on and on. I was trying to find out, is there any relationship between foraging distance and colony size? And when the termite forage, which instar actually is where? It's what I was interested in. After we finish the experiment, we collect all the termite, take them apart, we save them in preserving in alcohol vial. But we know exactly where these termites come from, right? So what she did is that she just went ahead and examined my alcohol vial I store in the storage room. And she find out where those white termite appears. Well, turns out to be they'll appear near the central nest. So what that means is that termite return to central nest near the king and queen and egg molt. Yes, there is molting room. That's called king and queen reside. Okay, royal chamber is their molting room. Okay, and later we find out the reason why they do that is that they try to conserve their nitrogen content, because the skin being molt, eating up a worker right next to the queen, feed to the queen, and queen using the protein to produce more egg. That's what's going on here. Okay, but that's another story. Okay, so with that we know what happened here is this: termite will move around, go foraging here and there, here and there. When they try to molt, they go back here. They molt here, and then when they become active again, they'll go out and foraging again. So that's what's going on here. Now, knowing that, put that together with how we use the chitin synthesis inhibitor for control. This is part of the full story. So termites have to intercept the base station, and they acquire a lethal dose of chitin synthase inhibitor. And then when termites are ready to molt, return to central nest, and the affected termite will die near the king and queen. So what happened is the king and queen, we had to move to the other place because they don't want to be surrounded by dead body. Okay? But if we went to a new place, after a while, they were surrounded by the dead termite again because another batch will come in. And the cycle repeats itself until everybody is dead. Okay? So this is what's happening here, right? Termite will eat the bait, and this is queen and queen is, and they appear, they start dying here. And this is how it looks like. King and queen is here. And if you look carefully here, the dead individual, dead individual, dead individual, dead individual, dead individual. And you can see these are all affected by chitin synthase inhibitor. And then king and queen had to move. Same thing happened again. They had to move. Same thing happened again, and eventually everybody dead. That is exactly how things works. And that is the reason why I never seen those molting difficulty individual in the base station, because they all go back to central nest to molt. Okay, so now, so anyway, so that's pretty much the whole story. I simplify a lot, but whole story of my applied aspect of my research here. And now next segment, I want to talk about something more fun, actually, which is the basic research of how termites find food. Are you ready for that? Okay. So termites will construct this kind of tube. And how do they find the food? By constructing this tube, right? First, we have to understand what the tunnel geometry is about. Then we have to say, how do termites form such a geometry? Then we have to ask, what is a factor affecting such a termite tunnel geometry? And then we have to, ask ourselves what the function of those geometry. All these many questions need to be answered, and this is just some of them. I've spent the last 20 years trying to answer this question. And finally, just recently, we started saying, are there any scaling issue? Because we study in the laboratory in a small scale. If we scale it up, can we repeat the field condition in the laboratory? Okay, by constructing quite a ginormous foraging arena. So basically, all these studies are done by this kind of foraging arena, which is 2 pieces of clear plastic, sandwich a thin layer of sand. So when the termite dig in the tunnel there, you can see where it goes. You can kind of study the shape of the geometry. So let's ask this question: what's a factor affecting tunnel formation? Because termites find a wood in the soil, does a piece of wood affect the tunnel formation? Let's answer the question first, okay? So to do that, we present a sound wood in the sand, like this one here. And then, okay, let's see if I can make this one work. So this one here is a termite put into here first, and we have a 4 corner here that the wood, this chamber have no wood or no wood. Now we're going to ask ourselves, what's the chance for the termite to build a tunnel intercept one of those circles with or without wood? Is without wood a forbidden effect or not? Okay, so. Okay, termite tunnels are going there, they encounter the piece of wood over there, right? But they also went through this one without wood. Without wood, there's a wood here, they never touch it. So if you start counting this number of the wood being intercepted by number of tunnel intercept the chamber with or without wood, for this species here, exactly the same. With or without wood have no impact. With Formosan termite, statistically no differences. Okay, as a matter of fact, if termite, there's a piece of wood here, if termite build a tunnel, happen to kind of miss it, 1 millimeter, they never find it. a piece of wood have any impact on the tunnel formation? No, absolutely none, not whatsoever. That's kind of dispute the myth of the piece of wood termite with zoom in type of situation. Okay? Now, but this is kind of unfair because this is a sound wood. Sound wood means it's a solid piece of wood, not being decayed. Now, in the wild, the piece of wood in the field tend to be decayed by certain fungi. And one of the fungi we know is brown rot fungi, because brown rot fungi produce a chemical very similar to their pheromone. So, okay, let's see if that won't work or not. So we decay the wood with the fungi, and then I created this bioasset unit, which is, you see, to do a T-test or Y test to screen attractant, you have to directly make sure the insect will go in between, okay? And in a field like this, in a wild like this, they do not exactly go to where you want them to go. So I need to force them to go straight line somewhere. And the only way I can force them to go straight line is that I put the termite in here, I create a little wedge here pre-tunnel, and let them follow the edge. And termite tend to follow the edge going straight. So in this case here, basically I have three pieces of wood. It's a sound wood, not treated with anything. The other three pieces actually wood treated with the extract of brown rot fungi. So in this bar here, this process separation and make sure the chemical does not go migrate from here to there. So that those two regions are separated out. So I'm going to put the termite out. Oh. And then, okay. So there's no chemical here, go straight. When there's a chemical here, you see that one here? They are actually, from here, they start to deviate from here. They will send some kind of chemical here, and they move in and intercept with the piece of wood. So yes, indeed, if you have a brown rot fungi decay extract in the wood, they will follow that. So the question for a piece of wood in the soil affect them? Yes and no, depends on how much it decayed. Okay? But the distance is very short, 10 to 18 centimeters. It's about this much at the most. I know you're going to think about, oh, wow, what can we do? Put those chemicals in the bait station and bring them in. Not a good idea. Because number one, this chemical is very fragile. You put it in the soil there, they decayed very quickly, break down. One big rain in the field, they'll wash away. You put a very expensive chemical there, basically it's useless. Okay? And this is only about 10, 12, 18 centimeters anyway. Why bother, right? So, but anyway, that is the kind of thing we know that decay would do affect the tunnel geometry formation to short distance. So now how do termites form such a geometry, really? How do they do that, right? So if you look at this one here, what you see, we'll put the termite here. If you want to see there's a pattern here, what is the pattern, right? Look at the tip of those tunnels. They'll stay away from the central part. They're radiating out. We call this one global away vector. They are following a vector away from the origin, stay away, which is opposite the homing vector. You know, pigeon homing vector, or bee with homing in, ant with homing in, that's opposite of that, what they're doing when they construct this type of thing. To prove the point, this is a study done by my former student, Paul Barunias. So Paul, what he did here is this. He put a termite in here, and when they come out, they force them to make a turn 90 degrees. And in this one here, they turn 290 degrees, and this one here, they make it longer. So even when the termite come out of here, termite they build a tunnel and go straight here. They actually eventually follow this line. This line is exit point plus origin straight. Okay? Same thing. They come here like this. They may curve out like this, eventually go there. And this line is connecting exit point to the origin. That is the direction they're going. You kind of say, how do they do that, right? Same thing here. So just to make it sure, if you come out straight, this is origin here, they'll come out straight, no problem. If you force them to go turn 90 degrees, they'll go like this, and that line is basically the exit point connecting to origin. Same thing here. How do they do that? What that means is that termite, when he moves over here or even around here, the termite knows exactly where the origin is through a process called path integration or dead reckoning. I'm not sure if you know what dead reckoning means, so I'm going to take that word out because it means same thing. I have to mention that because my student loved the words, so he put the word on the title of the paper he wrote. But anyway, so path integration is basically a process of calculating one's current position by using a previously determined position. Global away vector is the opposite homing vector as seen in bee and bird, going away from the home, okay? So path integration is the capacity to use the idiothetic cues or cues generated by animal movement to calculate the updated position of the animal by monitoring its trajectory in relation to the starting point. Bee, ant, rodent, bird, they do that kind of stuff. So what I mean here is this. Let's say a bee coming out of the nest and moving around. Here, he knows exactly where the general direction of his nest is. She moves around again. Up to here, she knows where the general direction of the nest is because she's always constantly updating her position in relation to the initial position. Okay? And so on and so forth. So by the time it go there, find the food, she knows where to exactly go direct line coming back, called B line. Okay? Ant does exactly the same thing. Ant will go out of the nest, moving around, find the food, come right back. If you try to be very mean to ant, after you find the food, move over here, she does exactly the same thing, coming back there to no nest. Because they update their position all the time. You know, when I go to trip in a foreign country, I love to explore my neighborhood where I stay, my hotel. So I would go out to the hotel, I use exactly the same technique. I will walk, turn right, and I saw that's approximately direction is my hotel. And I move around, I always constantly make sure that I know where the exact location of my hotel is behind me, so I can always come back. That's very easy to do if the town is made of the square grid, everything in 90 degrees, right? You know which town is like that? Every single street is 90 degrees close to each other. Xi'an is exactly like that. And Jingdu in Japan, a copy of Xi'an is exactly like that too. So next year if you go to ICE in Kyoto, you know, walk the street because every block is exactly the same size. You can count the block and turn 90 degrees, exactly the same block number, you come right back to where you are. So that's called path integration, okay? That is what many animals does, and that's exactly what termite does. Okay, so here, this one more time, okay? Go there, it's easy. Come here, because termite at this position know exactly where the origin is. He will try to start to make a correction. So eventually, it will connect into this point, and same thing here. That is called path integration. That's how they form their trajectory away from the nest. Okay, that's one mechanism, by the way. Now, how about, let's do a little mean thing to termite, right? So if you say 90 degrees, turn there, you go there, that's fine. If you go straight, you go there, that's fine. How about if we try to confuse them a little bit and put in a chamber here? This is no longer just a bend. There's a chamber here, they have to kind of do something here, and when they come out, are they going to go this way or this way? There's two choices here, right? Which is a reference point, right? Well, it turns out to be both. Because if we do things like this here, instead of going this way or this way, they're actually going in between. So they are using in the empty chamber as a reset. They push the reset button and then say, aha, origin is those two of them in between, take in between. That is approximately place of the nesting area is about. So anyway, so those are the summary is that subterranean termite construct a predictable tunnel geometry by using simple local cues such as the path integration and global wave vector. That's how they construct in the general rules. The other rule is that after entering empty chamber, termite update the vector origin by using the chamber as a new reference point. So let's remember these two things, okay? Because later something's going to come up. Okay, so let's go to the next subject question I ask myself. How do we characterize termite geometry? When you see a termite tunnel like that, what are you seeing, really, right? Sometimes if you see the tunnel here, go like this, are there any way I can mathematically express that? It's really what I'm asking myself. So to understand any shape at all, one way to do it is take the deductive approach, meaning that you take it apart, okay? When I was little, I have an alarm clock. I really want to know how it looks like. I took them apart. I could not put it back together, so my mom was very mad at me, but anyway. You know Toyota Motor Company? Toyota Kiichiro is the founding father of the Toyota Motor Company. In 1920, when Toyota tried to make a car, they never made a car before. You know what they did? You know how they learned how to make the car? They bought a car from Chevrolet from America. They put it in the big warehouse. They took it apart into every single detail they could take it apart until one bolt, one nut, everything. They put everything on the warehouse. And they started to ask themselves, can I make this part? Yes. Can I make this part? Yes. Can I make this one? No. Buy it. Can I make this part? Yes. So they put all the parts together, they put it together and make a car. That's the first car they made. Same thing you can do with termite tunnel. Just take it apart. That's called deductive approach. How are we going to take it apart, right? Take it apart meaning that I'm going to measure different part of a component. Like, for example, how many tunnel will come out, how straight they go, how frequently branch appear, what kind of angle branch is, and so on and so forth. So this is basically how it looks like. Now, you have a curved line like this one here, but curved line can be break down into many straight lines, bent at the different angles. So you can say this straight line goes up, what the distance here, and then when it turn, what the angle here, and how often this branch will come out, and so on and so forth. So to make a story short, this is pretty much what they come up with, all the different components, and with different species have a different measurement. So that's why they have a different geometry. Now, so the question here is that, now what am I going to do with this? What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this component to build up, to put it together by using computer simulation program. So we custom-made one computer simulation program called Symptom, and then we instruct them, the simulation program to pick up certain component measurement and take the measurement and build the artificial tunnel for us. Then we compare these two to say, are they similar or not? Now, how do you call that similar or not? Right? That's a question. Visually, yeah, kind of similar, but it's really, you can't do that. Now, I cannot take down, measure the component to see they are same or not because they are same, because that's what I use. So the only way you can compare them is to use the entire picture. How do you measure the compressivity between that and that? And one way to measure the compressivity of the geometric pattern is to use fractal dimension. Anybody heard this? Fractal? Fractal. Fractal. Okay. Fractal is basically exist between 1 and 2 dimensions. You say, what? So you all know that there's one dimension, one line, 2 dimension is a space, 3 dimension is solid, right? That's a Greek mathematics, okay? But modern mathematics is more than that. So if I give you a piece of paper is 2 dimension, but if you draw a line, that's 1 dimension, right? How about if I draw a line, do not touch each other, but very close to each other, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And you look at from far away, kind of grayish area, that's 1 dimension or 2 dimension. That is in between. So you can measure the in-between dimension with this protocol. Oh yeah, I'm not going to get into it, but the dimension basically exists between 1 and 2. It's called fractal dimension. And the fractal is going to give you compressivity, degree of compressivity of certain geometric pattern. So we can measure the geometric pattern here. So anyway, so if you do that, reticular term is the dimension 1.19 in the real thing, and simulated tunnel is 1.17. Statistically, no differences. So our simulation produced the tunnel geometry that is very similar to the real thing. Same thing with Formosan termite. But anyway, so the reason why I'm doing this is basically because I really want to use this component here to answer the next round of the question. Can I construct the simulated tunnel to ask myself why the shape exists? Why termite have that kind of shaped tunnel, right? So this is a very important thing. So next round of the question is that what is the function of those termite geometry? Why they have that kind of shape? To do that, we can use computer simulation program to answer this question. Because everything now happens in the hypothetical computer field now, okay? So basically, we have to establish a general big hypothesis. One is that we have to hypothesize that the tunnel geometry of termite have to be optimized for food encounter efficiency. They have to efficiently encounter food particle in the soil. Evolutionarily speaking, that have to happen. That's why they have that shape. And another one is that they build a tunnel, find the food, they have to transport them back efficiently too. And this is where I make mistake anyway. So my 2 hypotheses here, one is accepted, one is rejected. But anyway, that's how science works. But anyway, let's go to the first question here. So how does geometry pattern is configured to efficiently discover the food or not? So to do that, we hypothesize that they probably respond to certain pattern of the food distribution particle in the field. And if you're talking about distribution pattern, it's only 3 distribution exist mathematically. And we use this last model to simulate the program here. Now, if you use I-index, you probably done this before, some of you. You have a uniform distribution, random distribution, or clump distribution. Depends on where the I-index is. Then you create this kind of distribution and superimpose your simulated tunnel on top of it. You say how many particles you encounter, count it, okay? So what happened here is that when you do that, we have I-index of 3 to 4 is where the encounter rate has been peaked. What is 3 to 4, right? Clump distribution. So termite tunnel geometry, termite build those tunnels in response to the clump distribution of food particle in the field. So what is a clumped distribution? A chunk of wood, a big piece of wood. So what happened here is this. Termites used to live in the forest. What they eat, when the tree fell on the ground, bang, gigantic piece of wood in there. That is a clump distribution of their food. That's what they're responding to. That's the reason why they build this type of tunnel geometry. That makes sense here that they're responding to clump distribution of the food distribution pattern. So anyway, the termite tunnel pattern is configured to intercept food particle with clump distribution, a large piece of wood in or on soil. That's how we understand now why this tunnel shaped like that. Now we also measure many other different things. of these component. And so one thing, I don't have a lot of time, so let me just show you one of them. It's called length ratio of primary and branch tunnel. So this is the primary tunnel. This is the branch tunnel, okay? So you take the length ratio here, and you say, why they have this length ratio, right? And then you ask, if you change the length ratio, create a different pattern, is the encounter rate going to change or not? So let's look at this, examine this one here, and it turns out to be, we have binomial distribution of food encounter rate in relationship to length ratio. One here and one here. That is a lower rate, is a longer primary tunnel, very long tunnel, and then small branch tunnel. With that type existing, you actually have a very good encounter rate. The other one is here at the higher length ratio, which is a shorter primary tunnel but real long branch. Now you have, again, you encounter more food there. So this is, we think, at the beginning in 2008 when we published this paper, that's just model prediction. We have no idea this type of thing exists or not. Our hypothesis is that maybe different colonies at a different age behave differently, or different species maybe behave differently, depends on what their environment is, right? But we did not know that it really exists in the real world, not until recently, when we have an introduced species called gestroi, introduced in Florida. And we are trying to use this in-ground monitoring, in-ground base station to study them. And these stations are very well adapted, being used by many people, including myself, in different areas to study this species, gestroi. Except in South Florida, when we try to use those in-ground stations to study that gestroi species, we have a zero chance encounter be intercepted by this species. Especially when you find some termite, gestroi termite in the tree, we put the base station around it. In this study, we did 84 in-ground stations. None were intercepted by termite, zero, absolutely zero. That really puzzled me. I said, what's going on here? So I went back to literature and find out really how the other people say, including myself actually anyway, when I did a study and data came and we are okay with it. So is there any regional differences? So I started looking very carefully into their result. Indeed, in Brazil, the interception rate is 4.5%. In Kenting in Taiwan, the rate is 1.5%. I counted your map. I counted how many stations are putting, how many actually intercepted. 1.5%, which is really ridiculously low because for most termites, it's about 30%. You put a wooden stake in there, they're going to hit. So what's going on there? These two species have a different foraging strategy to encounter food. Let's find out. So I created this artificial tree. Inside here, I put this small colony in, and then I touch the arena here, okay? And then inside arena, I have a piece of wood in here. We try to find out if they're going to come out and encounter those wood or not. And then they establish and they come out, and I put a camera on top of it. And then, you know, we started to look at how the termite geometry changed, and we compare them with the statistical test. Anyway, so this is how it looks like. Between two species here, gestroi, you can see, very different. Very long primary tunnel and short branch tunnel. This one here, tunnels all over. So it looks like this fit into a model prediction we are talking about, which is, and if you look at the this encounter rate, for most termite encounter more than gestroi. But if you start measuring component here, some of them are very similar, no significant differences. But primary tunnel for most termite is shorter than gestroi. secondary tunnel, the Formosan termite is longer than gas ray. As a result of that, the length ratio is higher for Formosanus than gas ray. So what that means here is this. What that means here is this. So this is a primary tunnel, this is branch tunnel. You can see gas ray construct real long primary tunnel, very short branch tunnel. Okay? Formosan termite tend to construct short primary tunnel and longer branch tunnel. As a result of that, gas ray tend to use what I call distance searching strategy. They go distance to look for food. Formosan termite tend to certain area. They search intensely certain area before they move to the other area. That is a different strategy here. Okay, so that's kind of fell into our model prediction. We published in 2008. So with the larger length ratio, Formosanus tend to search area near the base of tree and result in intercepting more in ground station. That with a smaller length ratio, gas ray tend to excavate a longer primary tunnel to search for food at distance, resulting in interception of less station placed at the base of the tree. That's probably what we think we are finding it in our field result. So anyway, now all these studies were nice, but we use a very small arena to do a study because we don't have a big lab space. But the question always that, if this really happen in the field? You know, we can do a computer simulation level study here, and there's what is exactly, if the scale up the real scale, what termite is doing, right? So I happen to have a master degree student, and this kind of labor-intensive work, and say, you do it. So we construct this ginormous foraging arena. It's about 3.5 meter by 2 meter long. And the reason why I did that is because when I put this, in a commercial bait installation, they tell you to put 3 meters apart from each other. And the question is always from a pest control operator and homeowner is that, how about if a termite come in between and get into my house without even getting into a station? Is that going to be effective? Can we put more in there? I said, I don't know. It seemed to work. So we check, okay, let's answer this question here. And at the same time, I really want to see how the termite tunnel looks like in a large scale. So anyway, so we connected this arena here with this laboratory colony, and this colony have about 3 million termite in there, Formosan termite. And we connected into here, okay? And then let them forage, move out. And we start to observe how the tunnel pattern looks like. It's just real exciting because it's a really large scale. You can see, you probably can see very well now, there is a network of tunnel going on here, but when they start to reach a base station here, you're gonna see a burst of gigantic number of tunnels appearing. So anyway, by looking something like this, we can use a heat map to express where the termite construct their tunnel. So you put a grid in there, and you start to count how many tunnels is in each grid. You can see this one here, termite coming out, and they concentrate really intensely in this area to search for this area. So if you start to create a heat map to see where the intensive searching area appears, and this it looks like. Okay, the red zone is basically new intensive search area. Okay, so the initially they come here and they intensive search here, and then when the tunnel saturates here, they move to here. Then they skip a couple of hands and go here and went to the site and go and forth. I'm still analyzing the data here to see what the pattern mean to us. Is there any like the forum Markovian chain type of mathematical model or any kind of sequential analysis I can use to understand why they switch from one spot to the other spot to cover, and if that have anything to do with search efficiency, I don't know. But anyway, that's still under investigation right now. This study is just not even published yet. So, okay, so that's kind of focused on food encounter rate efficiency. Let's go into transportation efficiency. once they find the food, I initially thought that they build this tunnel, they find the food, then have to use the same tunnel to come back. Do they have to construct the tunnel in such a way to make it coming back very efficient? Right? That's what I focus in. And no matter how I look at it, it's just, no, not exactly right. Until one of my postdoc, of this intern student, did a very simple study. I find out, oh my God, I was wrong, totally wrong. So this is a study that student did. Is Michael, she did a wonderful study. So what we did is we put the termite in the arena with provided preformed tunnel with different configuration, simple, intermediate, and complex. Then we find out how the tunnel develop. So this is how it looks like. So we have this arena here. It's all sand, so termite can build anywhere tunnel they want, okay? But we give them a preformed straight line, already a tunnel here to the food. Termite enter here, they can go straight to the food. In this case, we make it to 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, and come back here. This one make it more complicated, okay? Now, termite get into this arena here, what they're gonna do, right? So within 0 hour, when the termite get in, immediately they follow this tunnel and go here. They find the food immediately because there's a preformed tunnel to begin with. Now, the question is that how they're going to respond to that discovery of the food, right? Amazing. Tried amazing, okay? Within 12 hours, this guy pretty much going to use the same tunnel back and forth. This guy here, after they find the food here, they start forming a tunnel from here directly to the food. Okay? That's by using what? Path integration. Because termite, when they discover the food here, when they come back here, they know food is here. Why I want to go there? It's shortcut, come on. So they build a tunnel here, and this one here is even amazing. They find the food here, they come back here, they put this straight line here. Okay, so basically, this is how it looks like. Major tunnels start to develop toward the food direction. This one here, one direct line being formed, and another direct line being formed from there. Even more interesting here is this. We force termite to go here, right? No, they don't want to do that. They create a shortcut. Shortcut. Okay, so they are trying to make it more efficient where to reach the food. Okay, shortcut and shortcut there. Even more interesting with this study is that I'm not sure the students really appreciate it as much as I do, because when I see these results, I was so excited. I couldn't sleep. Anyway, so within 24 hours, this guy is still kind of going straight. They develop some tunnel here, but mostly straight. This guy here, boom, connected to the food directory, right? And here, connected. Even more interesting thing here is this. You see here, we initially force them to go to this way, right? After they create a shortcut, they erase this tunnel. The tunnel disappears. When they dig the new tunnel, the sun will put in there, deposit there, erase them. We don't use this anymore, we're going to erase it. As a result of that, this here is all slowly disappearing, and this door is slowly disappearing. So this is where the path integration coming in. The reason why they are able to do this is that when the termite coming back from here, they know this position in relation to here. So they call direct food, form the direct tunnel. Now the question here is how do they do that? Is that a termite reach there, come back, and communicate with the other nestmate, and then say, hey, there's the food. Everybody go there. Just like a bee dancing. Or simply just individual go there and come back, he start digging that direction, everybody just follow. We have no idea at this point. So that is my next question. Some lucky student will have to answer that for me. Okay, so anyway, so this is a path integration, and being able to do that because of path integration. All right, so termite provide, and what they do is that following food discovery, termite excavate a tunnel directly toward the food, so via path integration, and create a many shortcuts to reduce the travel distance. So knowing all these things, now we kind of know how termites form those tunnels in the field. This assumes that this is the nest, termite nest, and there's a small food pieces here and there. When they have in the nest, initially they were radiating out, following global away vector, like this. And one of them will encounter food, shortcut. From there, radiate out, encounter food, shortcut. And keep going, like this. Those tunnels that they don't use around here or here or here, totally erased eventually. Eventually, the tunnel system will be simplified like that. That resemble the field excavated colony. That we think is probably, as much as we know, that's probably what's going on with the termite underground tunnel system, okay? There are a lot, I still want to answer the question how this thing happened, but hopefully I can answer as many as I can go. I can do before I finally retired, which never happened. Thank you very much.
感谢教授今天精彩丰富的演讲，让我们收获满满。让我们再次以热烈的掌声感谢教授。接下来是问答时间，有请李厚峰教授为我们主持问答环节。有请教授上台，谢谢。谢谢。
给老师麦克风。我们应该有时间开放1、2个问题。
直接问嘛，就是刚刚有呈现一些觅食的实验，然后，我好奇的是，如果一开始出发点的白蚁那些如果没有连接主巢，然后没有跟王后有沟通的话，那结果会不会一致
If he wondered if the termites do not connect it to the central nest with king and queen, will the foraging behavior is different?
So if the appropriation is disconnected from the king and queen, would they be different? Okay, when they're disconnected, you see this entire experiment we did without king and queen. It's just like in the arena, we collect termites, 100 termites put inside there, and they will do exactly the same thing. It depends on where they are, they're already out. So without king and queen, if they have, and this happens in the field a lot too, because termites sometimes will go inside the food and they are artificially disconnected. And they will probably still radiating out from the food source to search for new food.
就是那个实验其实是没有 king 跟 queen 的，所以他们的行为是很接近。赵老师。
So I just curious, does termite prefer decayed wood better than sound wood, right? So why is that? Because decayed wood provides some kind of chemical cue to attract the termite. Yeah. Okay, so this is the direct reason I believe. Yeah. And then what is the next? I'm just curious because termite may provide some kind of gluconase, cellulase.
Good what?
Termite may provide some kind of particular cellulase, which is lacking in termites. But the fungi I'm talking about, the fungi may provide some kind of cellulase, right? Which is lacking in termites, like exocellulase. Yeah. To my understanding, insect legs, not really legs, but insect can provide more endocellulase, endoglucanase, than exoglucanase. But termite can provide that. That's my understanding. I wonder if this is correct or not.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay.
As far as the chemical produced by the fungi, actually there are many fungi. Not all the fungi produce the same chemical.
Yeah.
Brown rot fungi is the one produce a chemical dodecadone,
Okay.
And that dodecanone actually exactly identical chemical that termite produce as a trail-following pheromone.
Okay.
That's nature, the coincidence. These two organisms happen to produce the same chemical.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you draw the line of the dodecanone, this chemical on the piece of paper, they'll follow it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why the brown rot fungi is really attractive. But like I say, the chemical is not very stable.
Okay. So in most of your experiment, you use sunwood rather than decayed wood for performing experiments. So I believe if you use decayed wood for performing experiment, the result may be different. Because
no, that experiment, I did not use a decayed wood. I used the decayed wood extract.
Okay.
I put the extract and put on a piece of wood.
I see.
So I try to isolate the chemical itself.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I think we have time for one more question. I think audience would like to know what is the next generation of bedding or termite control management tools. Would you be able to say a little bit?
Next generation of?
Termite control tools or strategies.
Jeez. I haven't done enough. No, I mean, there's always some new technology. And right now, we are already experimenting with this one here. That's, for example, above ground station, right? So you can see for example, if there are termite coming out of here, usually we put a piece of plastic box with a bait, and let the termite eat the bait there, right? That's really not that good because people do not want to see this box on the wall inside their house. So I designed a special formula of liquid bait. Basically, I formulate a bait particle with the viscous caulking type material. I can drill a hole and inject inside, and then just patch it, and nobody can see actually the termite bait inside there. So that's called the fluid bait. That we have that generation of that. The other innovation is the automatic monitoring system. You see, I already did that a long time ago when we were doing the monitoring baiting. I create a sensor that basically electric circuit. When the termite eat the wood on the circuit, it breaks the circuit, electric conductivity. And from there, we can say, aha, termite is there, right? So we transmit a signal into the data logger and something else, so we can monitor from the computer. Now, that scheme really did not work anymore because today we are using what called durable bait, which is the bait that doesn't decompose. So we put a bait from the beginning anyway, no longer have the monitoring phase. But durable bait are still go inside there. I still want to be able to see termite is there or not. And durable bait is very solid materials. And I will try to find out if termite is there eating it, are there any way I can sense that, aha, termite is there, right? So electric circuit really does not work very well because there's sometimes in a situation that they corrode it. So what I did, this patent is already applied, so I can tell you now, but anyway. I put a pressure on the bait with the physical pressure, like a spring-loaded material. And then if the bait is being consumed, certain extent, the spring will compress it. And when that happens, there's the distance travel. And that will generate electricity. That will inform data logger, the sensor there, and say something happened in your bait. Come and check it. So that is probably much more realistic I can do to tell the pest control operator that you can sit in your office, and then when the bait is consumed by termite, you will know by looking at the computer. So that is the next generation.
我简单解释一下，就是应该会有2个新的技术发生，一个是2个都已经 patent 了，一个是液体的白蚁耳剂，然后另外一个是自动监测系统，就是当白蚁把那个耳机吃掉一个程度的时候，会产生一个电能，然后它就会通知那个中央的系统，告诉白蚁防治人员说这个耳站的耳机已经被吃完了，所以它就可以及时 比较省力的去更换那个系统，这样子更换那个耳机。除了有效以外，还有更节省人力的部分。对。
感谢教授为大家解惑，也谢谢师长同学们的踊跃提问。让我们再次以最热烈的掌声感谢苏教授今日的演讲。今天的惠蓀讲座到此圆满结束，感谢各位贵宾、师长及同学的热情参与。